There's parking permits.
Oh, yeah, right?
Thank you very much, Amanda. This is all wonderful.
You're very welcome.
Oh, no.
2 months old.
Ow, the little fingers and the little fingernails and the
And he's
cheeks.
wide awake at this point.
That's a good baby, I can tell.
Yeah, well,
So
we
far,
were
so good.
I was supposed to be leaving tomorrow with my wife, and she came down with a cold. And she said, can't do that.
It seems to be
Can't do
a thing.
And so she said, are you going to sleep over there? Because I might get better. And if you get sick, we
Yeah,
can't go at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
So I said, well, what do you want me to sleep in the basement?
Outside.
Yeah, outside.
And I remind you guys to touch your metal plate on your mic so your red light is on.
Okay.
Oh, red means go.
Red means on.
Sure which to use here.
Correct.
Okay.
So that our viewers can see us.
Do we
Hear
get
us.
very many viewers?
And you know what? I never looked. The biggest crowds. We got the best viewers.
Oh, no, not the hand motions, Blanda.
All right, I have 4 o'clock, so we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Did meet to discuss real estate transactions on October 9th. Do we have an executive session in September? So we did not have a September board meeting, right?
We did not.
Okay. All right. Anyone here for public comment? All right, seeing none, approval of the meeting minutes of August 21st, 2024. Any additions or corrections to the minutes as distributed? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give the consent by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Financial report.
Your cash position sheet is in your packet. You can see as on the agenda, all of the accounts, the general fund balance is $670,000. The CDBG balances remain at $398,704. However, I did just yesterday receive an invoice for maintenance on the properties from Spoutco. So that balance will decrease by about $6,000. I just haven't submitted it yet. On the cash position sheet, you'll see that we are, from September to October, we have received the school tax reimbursement from the Densify purchase from the school district, and that Foursquare has paid their option agreements. And of course, we have also had settlement on the Northwest Triangle project. There was an option in their redevelopment agreement for them to pay 15%. But they opted to pay the entire full price for the first 2 parcels. So their settlement was much more than the $56,000, which was great. So we are sitting with good $670,000 in the bank and another $118,000 in accounts receivable.
Has that fresh food fund always been on here every month?
I recently added that at the bottom just so we could track the interest that it's being earned. It's not accessible money, but there is $90,000, $97,000 in there, and that serves as collateral enhancement or backstop for those borrowers who go through People's Bank to borrow for fresh food fund, restaurant, or food-related business startups. I think right now there are 2 or 3 loans leveraged against that funding.
Do you know who they are?
I have a suspicion of who they are, but I'm not going to say them because I'm not positive if they've been paid off or not.
And wasn't there some interest in somebody applying for that? Like 1 or 2 people interested?
I had 2 or 3 people that were recently interested in it. I sent them the updated application packet and have coordinated with Aaron at People's Bank because they're merging with Orrstown, and Orrstown has approved the existing agreement that we still have. What needs to happen, and we started working on this internally from the city's, change my hat, from the city's economic development perspective, is creating some promotional pieces and some collateral about the Fresh Food Fund. We started to do that pre-COVID, but then when COVID hit and everything was grants, nobody wanted to borrow money because you could get grants for everything. Now we're getting back to the point where people are looking to borrow money. So now is the time to start promoting that.
So this money is not our money.
It is not our money. It was a
Serving as
USDA
collateral-
grant.
It's serving as collateral for someone to borrow from Peoples.
Correct.
Was it always set up that way?
Yes. So it's a backstop. So at one time, there was well over $100,000 in here, and people defaulted. And if they default on the loan, People's Bank takes money from this fund.
So what if that program went away?
And it was,
It's been kind of dormant for years. I mean, there was USDA grant money that started this. What would happen if this program just kind of went by the wayside? What happens to that money?
I do not know that. I'd have to pull the original grant agreement from 8-10 years ago at least and see what strings are tied to that funding.
Okay.
But I think it's a great program, and I think a lot of people would use it if it's promoted, and it's a good for economic development and small business financing. And
So nothing would change with we would still approve anybody who's applying for this?
yes,
Committee would.
there is a fresh
On
food.
the committee.
There's a review committee that we've recently reestablished.
Yeah, we were trying to, we should revisit that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
so that's all I have on finances
All right, any
at
questions?
this point.
And you mentioned CDBG. All right, presentations, none? So action items, redevelopment agreement.
Yes, we had, our previous meeting, I believe in August, we had voted to terminate a redevelopment agreement with Terry Ziegler, because Mr. Ziegler passed away. And I did get an application from his friend who was helping him, Mr. Graham, Lloyd Graham, has submitted an application to purchase the property to take over what he and his friend were working on. I have reviewed his finances and his application, and I would like to get a motion to enter into a redevelopment agreement with Lloyd Graham for this property at 326 Wallace. And you can see it at the screen here. It's at the end of this is a street view from 2021, but it's the end unit next to the city's storage shed on Wallace Street up in the northeast neighborhood. And they have done some work to it, but when he passed away, that work kind of paused.
Okay, any questions? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to enter into a redevelopment agreement with Lloyd Graham for 326 Wallace Street due to expiration?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Ratification of contract execution.
Yeah, the next two items on your agenda are items that were taken by electronic vote. The first one is the contract extension. On September 17th, we had an email vote for the Redevelopment Authority to settle with statewide partners. As part of the closing, their settlement agent wanted to have an agreement. At the very last minute, they approached us and said, we would like to have something in writing that authorizes the chairman and the executive director to enter into the settlement. So as you will see in the language that's in the agenda, is that the chairman and the executive director of the Redevelopment Authority hereby authorized to execute any and all documents related to the property transfer from the Redevelopment Authority to statewide partners or their affiliated entity NWT LLC for the purposes as outlined in said redevelopment agreement. So we did that via e-vote, and I'd just like to ratify that now officially.
Any questions? Is there a motion to ratify?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give the consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Abstain.
Ratification of grant applications.
Again, these two were e-votes last minute during a grant application. These are two applications for the Commonwealth Local Share Account Funds, which is the casino money. So a percentage of all the casino profits go into the state, and they are available for grant funding for publicly owned or publicly sponsored projects. And we submitted two applications, one for the RDA itself for up to $1 million for renovations to Penn Market, and a second ratification for a grant application for $43,335 for the York XL application for the neighborhoods built by neighbors, which we recently voted on for 3 parcels on Wallace Street that they have an option agreement on. So again, this was a last minute realizing going through the grant application that the Commonwealth requires a resolution from the applicant. And those two are also in your packet at the end of your packet, just see what they physically look like.
Any questions?
Yes, one. Obviously, everybody's going to be in favor of this, Belanda. But thinking specifically about the Penn Market project, which is referenced in here, now that we have a more significant than normal general fund balance, I'm guessing most of those funds are unrestricted,
All of our general funds are unrestricted.
which means if needed to bridge a gap in a capital stack project for Penn Market or something, a contribution might come from the redevelopment authority out of those funds, or?
It certainly could. Some of those funds we've been using, and you'll see in the breakdown of all, when I say all of our accounts, one of the funds is actually $53,000 from vendor rents that have come in. And traditionally, I like to use those. That makes sense to use those funds for the architect right now. I just got an architect invoice. So the RDA to date has contributed about $200,000 towards the design work that's been happening. So we do continue to pay that. But yes, to answer your question briefly, the RDA could certainly put its own money into that.
Or different project somewhere else?
Correct, yeah, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Do we need to do these separately, Don?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to ratify the grant application for renovations to Penn Market? Is that good enough language?
So made.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? So ordered. Is there a motion to ratify the grant application for York XL? Is that who?
Yeah.
Yeah, for York XL.
So moved.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Creation of deposit accounts.
This was some discussion that the chairman and I have been having on, because the balance in the accounts is $670,000, what does the RDA need to keep liquid, and what is an opportunity to earn some interest on that money? So after some requests out to several different banks, we had discussed internally about breaking up $400,000, 6 months at 4.75% of $200,000 with Presence Bank, 13 months at 4.4 at Fulton Bank for $150,000, and 24 months at 4.15 for $50,000 at Traditions Bank. I believe that leaves us some fluidity should a project come up and we need to be able to access money within 6 months, or we can roll it into another rate. But given the way the rates are right now and the potential for the feds to drop rates again in December, figured we ought to lock in now, particularly at 4.75, 4.4, and 4.15 is pretty good rates right now.
Any questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to open CDs for the terms and rates below? President's Bank, 6 months at 4.75 with 200,000. Fulton Bank, 13 months, 4.4, 150,000. And Tradition Bank, 24 months, 4.15 for 50,000.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give the consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Staff report?
Just a few brief updates. We are, as you see on the cash sheet, we have some settlements coming up soon, which is great news. 312 South Penn Street was a property we had made a motion on several months ago with a gentleman who originally got the property in 2018 or 2019 and failed to complete. And we have a 1-year requirement to complete the project. So we were able to file suit and get that title back and immediately flip it to another developer who's really excited to start fixing up the property. So we will, in fact, he dropped off the payment for that today. So 312 South Penn Street we'll have settlement on in the next couple of days, as well as 302 South Penn Street, which was an eminent domain property from probably 2019 or 2020 that has been completely renovated. We are scheduling settlement on 701, 703 Prospect soon. Pastor Kearse is going to purchase that property so that he can leverage a loan against it, take out a mortgage on it to complete it. He will have the same requirements on his deed that he has to fix it within so many months. And 245 East Cottage, which is part of the Simon Camera complex. Simon Camera proper, the big white garage building, is not complete yet, although it has a new roof and it's been cleaned out. There is a separate building to the side, 245 East Cottage, that has been converted into 2 apartments, and the property line's been shifted just to reflect that parcel. And we're working with Steve Buffington, the redeveloper there, Plumber Steve, not BCO Steve, for him to purchase that property as well. So we'll have 4 or 5 or 6 properties coming up soon that we're going to have settlement on, which is great news.
What was the address before 302 South Penn?
312 South Penn.
So, okay, so we're going to have 2 more along that corridor.
Yes.
Okay. And what else?
Well, 2 more will be fixed up and renovated, yes.
And what else? I wanted to ask you about something else in there too. Oh, did we already get that state money for Prospect?
Yes.
So it would just be Kearse's 12 or whatever.
Yeah, his balance owed is 10.5 or something like that, yeah. It's all told, those properties total about $58,000 in settlements that we'll have.
What was the number again?
58,000. Which are reflected on that 115 AR accounts receivable, so to speak, for the RDA. So we're collecting half of our money that's owed to us in the next few days.
Well, good, there may be a year-end party for the staff after all.
Yes. Correct. Water bottles for the rest of the year.
All right, any other questions? Let's see, so all I have is, thanks everyone. Everybody here was present at the groundbreaking last week. Great event. This is going to be a transformative project for downtown. So thanks again for all of your efforts to make this come to fruition and celebrate your role in this. You deserve it. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you all.
Is that a record?
No.
No?
It's not far off.